by Councilwoman Betty Absher.
Let us pray. Our God and Father, we pause to thank you for the gift of life and for the blessing of sharing it in our city this day with family and friends and the residents of our city. We thank you, God, for these that serve the city in any capacity, Lord, and we pray tonight we realize the responsibility that we have to make good decisions, and we just pray that your wisdom would prevail on each and every one of us, that the decisions that we make will be pleasing to you and to those that we serve. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Roll call.
Councilman DeGaris.
Here.
Councilwoman Abshir.
Here.
Councilman Branham.
Here.
Councilman Tinsley.
Here.
Councilman Johnson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian.
Here.
And Mayor Pearson.
Here.
We have 7 present.
Disclosure of interest. Any member of the City Council may disclose any possible conflict of interest dealing with either any item on the printed agenda or with any matter discussed at a previous meeting. Seeing none. Citizens' input. Each person in the audience may take this opportunity to address the City Council on any matter which is not on the printed agenda. Hello, state your name and address for the record.
Jeff Shawn, 515 Poplar Street, Poplar Bluff. Council, when I was a wee lad, I was a Boy Scout, and I was in Troop 162. My scoutmaster was Andy Williams. I don't know if some of you probably remember Andy Williams. Excuse me. The experiences of being a Boy Scout were formative in my life. They've affected me to this day. A lot of the things that I'm involved with were as a result of how I was mentored on how a boy becomes a man. And I think Boy Scouts is still a wonderful opportunity and is very active in our community. The last 3 years I've been the chairman of the Sioux District of Boy Scouts, and it's been an unbelievable experience for me, very satisfying. And during the 3 years I've been chair, we had a district executive, which is the professional person that Boy Scouts hires to help keeping things moving in the district. We were admirably served by a young woman named Jamie Parker. She's moved on to other opportunities, and since that time, in conjunction with us, the St. Louis Council, of which we're a part of, has hired a new district executive, and that's who I wanted to bring and introduce to you tonight. This is Michael Deneen, and he hails from St. Charles, and he came down here and found out what a wonderful community it is, and he's living here in Poplar Bluff. So he'll be moving about the city, being involved in things, looking to promote Boy Scouts. So I wanted you to give him a Poplar Bluff welcome. This is Michael Deneen. Did you want to say something, Mike?
This is awfully formal.
I didn't tell you he was going to give a speech. So.
No, so far everybody's been very warm and welcoming, and I'm very excited about the position, and so I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad to be able to meet you all tonight.
Welcome to Poplar Bluff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving forward, the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor, we've been presented with the minutes and the clerk's report, and I make a motion we approve it as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes and the clerk's report. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Workshop items. A representative from downtown Poplar Bluff will appear before the City Council to discuss the ongoing Community Improvement District and budget concerns.
Madam Mayor and City Council, Kim Capps, 6782 Brown Lane, and I am currently the board chairman for the downtown Poplar Bluff, and we have some representatives in the in the room as well with Penny. And the reason we're coming before City Councilors, we came last year and asked to be part of the budget again, for last year. This upcoming year, when you decide to do the upcoming budget for this next year, we're asking to be a part of that as well. And one of the main reasons is, in order for us to do the SID and get the owners in the downtown area to approve it, they have to vote on it and they have to approve it. If they don't vote on and approve it, we can't have the district. And the biggest concern at those meetings that we're having is this. The property owners feel that if the city is dedicated to the downtown Poplar Bluff area, then they will be for this SID in order to bring more money in. But if the city is going to flight and not be part of the downtown Poplar Bluff and doesn't want to be part of it, then they don't want to vote on the SID because it won't do any good because they don't have anybody to run the downtown Poplar Bluff at that point in time. And as far as the downtown Poplar Bluff, Penny's done an exceptional job. We got a little rocky start when we first got it. The first lady had to do a lot of paperwork in order to get us all ready, all the forms and all the state government lines. But Penny's done a good job. We have 2 signs out there that we funded totally. It says downtown Poplar Bluff. I'm not. The wayfinding signs. It says downtown Poplar Bluff. We have 2 of those. We're working very diligently on the farmers market pavilion. We're doing a lot of different things down there, and we want to see it continue. But without the support of City Council and the support of the City of Poplar Bluff, downtown Poplar Bluff can't survive because we can't make enough money to support a salary. So that's basically all we're doing is standing here before you pleading for funds or a commitment to downtown Poplar Bluff. That's it in short. And I'm nervous, so
It's okay.
I'm out of my element here.
Does anyone have anything to say?
I got a couple of questions. When the project began with downtown development, what year did that start?
You mean as far as having a director?
As far as, you know, I think it was called
The Dream Initiative.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to refer.
9 years ago.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it.
7 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not 9 years ago.
And then now, in the funding for that in the last 3 years has come from where?
The came from the city.
Total funding came from the city for the
Yes,
last 3 years?
just for her salary.
Okay.
Everything else was not. And there was a grant that was for 2 years, and then the city paid for 2. And we're coming up on that 4th year. I mean, the year ends in February.
Okay. And then do you all have a list of projects or themes or whatever that you've worked on the last 4 years?
In the last 4 years?
Mhm.
Not with us, with me, but I can get that.
Okay, if you would please, that would help us out.
And we also have a 5-year plan that we put together that's part of the CID,
Mm-hmm.
the petition that we can get to you as well.
Okay, that'd be good.
You know, one of the biggest ones that we have is the Iron Horse Festival down there, and we try to bring lots of people down to downtown, and it helps support all the businesses that are down there. It brings lots of people down to our area, not even from Poplar Bluff, from surrounding communities, and you just can't have a big enough festival like that to pay for a salary.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
Especially when you try to make it economical for families to attend. You don't want to charge, so we try
Mm-hmm.
to.
I have a few things I want to say. Last year, when you all came, I felt like I made it clear as a council person that if I were to vote for this again, that I would have to see much, much more activities going on. I have to be frank, I haven't seen it. I see the Iron Horse Festival, which is wonderful, but I don't see much else. And I'm very on the fence about this issue at this point.
that it takes funds to do a lot of things, and the way we get our funds now is begging and pleading, just like every other organization in town does. And the money that these businesses give, this community and all the organizations I am, the city of Poplar Bluff and their businesses are so supportive to people that want to come down, but they only got so much money. And some of you are business people yourself. You get knocked on the door 100 times a day, and there's only so much money. We can only do so much. with what we've got. And what we felt like was a good thing was to put the signs up to say, hey, look, we have a downtown. That's our first step. We're doing the farmers market pavilion. That's a second step. You just can't put things together in less than 2 years that she's been with us. You know, we have a big plan. We would love to be able to improve one whole city street with benches and park lights and greenery, but you can't do it unless you have the money. And, you know, we're trying to find grants here, there, and yonder, and it's just tough. I mean,
Can we get a copy of the 5-year plan?
yeah, he asked for one, it's fine.
Okay.
I mean, just to do one street, I think it costs almost $200,000 to do both sides of one block.
And that was just the sidewalk.
And that's just the sidewalks. I mean, we can't, I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but, you know, we can't do it
Well,
overnight.
just get us that information and let us have a chance to look over that. We can ask some questions about it, okay? That'd be
So do
great.
you want
That's
that?
what this was, to get information and ask what you
You
wanted
bet.
from us. Yes.
So do you want us to come back before, or is there a committee that you want us to meet with, or how would you like to do
Well,
that?
what we need to do is probably forward this to Pam, and then she'll forward it to us in emails. And then, like I said, with the accomplishments and results over the last 2 to 3 years, and then your 5-year plan, okay?
Okay, we can do that. Thank you.
My thinking was that you all would be able to support her salary with more activities that you do, raising money at these events, and that's what my thinking was whenever I said that about doing
It's hard to-
more.
Like she said, it's hard to have events because you have to have sponsors to do that. And a lot of downtowns will tell you have one big event and smaller ones.
With one
And
person-
one big event isn't going to fund. And if I spend all my time planning events, then what good am I doing for the business and property owners downtown? I'm bringing people down there, but to what?
Well, that's why we want to see the results
Right.
over the last 2 to 3 years, see what's actually been implemented, what's been tried to be implemented, because we need to see all that, and then your 5-year plan. If we get a chance to look at that, that'll help us out a lot.
Sounds good.
Kim, didn't the Dream give us 200,000 and the city matched it 200,000?
Yes. There was a two.
2 years.
It was a $100,000 grant from CDBG.
51
We
years.
did the next 2 years at 50,000 a year, and then this is our 3rd year at 50,000, so.
But we had a matching grant, so they paid half, we paid half.
Right,
Right.
Then we got an extra year in.
yes.
All right, now I'm straight, thank you.
And right now, there's not any grant available for that project.
No.
Okay, okay,
I just thought it was more money
And the
than
city
that.
funded a salary hike.
okay. Okay.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Item B, Mr. Tucker Davis. Oh. Hello.
I'm Phyllis Baker, 3500 Marble Hill Road. My husband Felix and I are downtown property owners, and we own a business downtown. We've regularly attended the meetings regarding the CID, and I just want to let you know that we cannot support a tax increase without a partnership with the city. And we feel strongly that we need a director for downtown. We've all tried to help downtown over the years. We've all been part of revitalizing downtown. And it's a lot of hard work, and it takes time. And, you know, I just want to let you know that Felix and I can't support a tax increase without a director to take care of that. And there is not enough money for a director's salary as well as improvements. That's just the fast road to failure. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Item B, Mr. Tucker Davis will appear before the City Council to present an update on the Veterans Wall Loan Project.
Tucker Davis, 2730 Mill Street, Poplar Bluff. This will come as no surprise to most of you that I was no Boy Scout. I didn't make it. But Jeff Shawn may join me in a minute. I'm here on behalf of 5 local banks, Southern Bank, People's Bank, First Missouri State Bank, Commerce Bank, and First Midwest Bank, by whom I'm employed. 5 years ago, we entered an agreement with the city to do an unsecured loan for $85,000 to complete our Butler County Veterans Wall in front of the Coliseum. As most of you remember, it sort of stymied as a project. Our committee, which I'm the chairman of, treasurer of, not the chairman, thought it was necessary to borrow the money to finish it. The city agreed and joined the partnership with us for this unsecured loan. We started at 85. I'm pleased to tell you today, and I try to do this annually, at least to come back and give you an update. I'm pleased today that thanks to some of Mr. Sean's efforts, we're down to $42,849, split between 5 banks. This will renew every year, and I plan to come back unless y'all tell me not to, and give you an update. And this last year has been very effective. We were able to reduce it by $14,000 just a couple of days ago. And I probably need to let Jeff tell you the story as far as Jeff and some other riders who I don't know who all they were, rode the entire length of the Katy Trail and raised over $12,000 just in that effort. And then we have a raffle that Jeff's just, I believe, just started. We have tickets for anybody interested for a vehicle that's going to be raffled off through the goodness of L.W. Gregory. And so we expect more. So the city, their portion of it will obviously come down as the loan comes down. But thanks to the support of the city, and even though they guarantee this, we thought we'd come and give you an update. And Jeff might have a little bit more on that.
Thanks, Tucker. It's unusual for Tucker to be this nice to me, so I'm glad we've got this publicly recorded that Tucker's being nice to me. It's the efforts of a bunch of people. First of all, the committee, the Veterans Wall Committee, has been in existence for so long that I asked Betty Pruitt when it was that it began, and she can't tell me. So the original vision, I think, Ed, wasn't that back in the 80s? Best that we know is when it got started. And in a funny kind of way, I'm partially responsible for the debt that there is on the wall, because at that time I was vice chair of the Black River Coliseum board, and then Director Jason Davenport came up with the idea that, hey, this thing is incomplete and we need one large sum of money to complete it, partly because the granite cladding that you see out there, which is very beautiful, needed to be all purchased at once or it wouldn't match. And so that was part of the thinking on that. Then Mayor Lloyd Matthews, then Chairman Dr. Good Lord.
Pylan.
Huh?
Pylan.
Yeah, Dr. Pylan was on the, yeah, he was on the, no, he was no longer on when this took place. Dr. Holt, yeah, thank you. Dr. Jerry Holt, God rest his soul, I love that man. Anyway, those gentlemen and Jason Davenport and I came up with the idea of doing this. So then what's happened is, frankly, a lot of the original group, a lot of them were World War II vets that started this so many years ago. And of course, a lot of them have passed away or they're in a nursing home. And the committee had existed and it was kind of tired. So partially because I'm a downtown Poplar Bluff resident and a taxpayer, I didn't want this loan to end up being on the backs of the taxpayers. But I think in a larger sense, I felt it would be disrespectful to our veterans if in fact we didn't privately get this paid off. So yes, I invented this crazy event called the Ride for the Veterans Wall, and luckily I had two much younger guys with me who whipped me like a rented mule to finish that 237 miles. But this local gentleman, L.W. Gregory, donated a 2003 Mercedes-Benz compressor hardtop convertible to the wall. And so we're raffling it off and we're going to give it away October 4th at the Iron Horse Festival. And so we need people to buy raffle tickets. There's a good chance that we can take it to the finish line and have this thing paid off. So
Wonderful.
You know, a lot of you haven't bought your raffle tickets yet. So.
I'll get one.
You can see me.
Yes.
Actually, I brought no raffle tickets with me tonight. So that figures that I would do that. But anyway, And Tucker has served admirably as our treasurer, and we've got a great committee. Dustin Berry rode with me. He's a captain in the National Guard. Kellis Thompson with the Sheriff's Department, an investigator with the Sheriff's Department. Those two guys rode with me, and then we had a support team. It's been a bunch of people who have been involved in this, so it's very successful at this point in time. We want to take it across the finish line. We're pushing hard to get it done. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We also invited Betty Pruitt, who,
There you are hiding.
as most of you know, or all of you know, the Cannell Boulevard, named after Billy Cannell was her brother. And so she's closely attached to this, and she's the owner of Beehive, and has been in from the very beginning as well. So, but it's important to connect the dots there with the family connection. But we'll answer. I don't remember Jeff signing that note. If he remembered to get this loan, I didn't see his name on the loan. We'll fix that after the meeting. But not really. But I'll entertain any questions as far as the participating banks or loan.
I was just going to tell Jeff, if you could do that right every couple of weeks, we get it paid off pretty quick. No, you're to be commended for that ride. I don't know how you did that or the other guys. So
1 mile at a time. It was 20 hours and 4 minutes of riding time, and I'm mostly recovered now.
That's good.
Thank you very much for what both of you done. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item C, the City Council will discuss High Street that runs through Poplar Bluff Square Shopping Center.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Councilman Branham brought this up several meetings ago. High Street is the street that runs along the old Kmart building and actually stops at the parking lot at the Bluff Square Shopping Center. I think you probably all didn't expect what I had sent you in your packet. Smith & Company went basically by our ordinance using curb and guttering, egress and ingress, exits and entrances off of the two roads. If you take their estimate, High Street from where it dead ends down to the U.S. Bank driveway, if we did it the way they suggested, would be around $88,000. That would be the north-south portion. The east-west portion, which would go from the end of that street out to the highway by Long John Silver's, would be $113,000. The way our ordinance book reads on streets, I gave you all a copy. If you look on the third page, it says requirements for concrete curb and gutters. Portland cement curb and gutters shall be mandatory for all streets constructed after September 1st, 1994. Said curb and gutters shall not be required for any unpaved streets that were in existence prior to September 1st, 1994, provided that such curb and gutters are deemed unnecessary by the city street superintendent and the project engineer. But if you'll go back to the second page under modification, it says the standards provided by this article may be modified by the city council in exceptional cases, but before any modifications can be made, the city council must make an affirmative finding of facts which shows that a modification is called for by sound and good engineering judgment. In making such findings of facts, the city council shall receive the recommendation for both the planning and zoning commission and the city engineer or designated official. And that is basically why the street came in the way it did. I also have given you all this sheet from Street Superintendent Jeremy Grable on what it would take to just put an overlay and striping, basically to make it a street through there without the curb and guttering. And the total cost on that was $34,640, and that's both for the north-south and the east-west portions. So basically this was presented tonight just for your discussion to see where you want to go with this and how you want to proceed, or if you want to proceed. So I'll entertain any questions from you. I know there's some property owners in the audience from the Bluff Square Shopping Center and the one east of it.
I'm not sure. That's always been an open area if you start putting curbs and everything, or people not.
Well, I think one thing that could be a problem, if you don't have curb and gutter and you don't have entrances and exits, cars coming in and through the parking lot run into the street and run into somebody. I don't know if that makes us liable for those accidents, because I'm not sure, but that's something to think of.
I don't see why it changed that much. We're just paving it, because it's been there for years. And
My biggest concern when this was brought to us was, I never realized, and I don't go that way very often, but when these property owners have decided that they're probably going to close the street down because they don't want the upkeep of all the property. I went out and looked at it. It is, in Mark's terms, egress and regress for the emergency shelter at O'Neill School. That's a main path, marked main path right there. That's also, I talked to the state school. That's their main way out. That's usually the way they go out with their buses, is out through that parking lot. And I just think we probably, in my opinion, it's a thoroughfare through my ward, and Mr. DeGarris's ward borders the south end of that. And I think there's some property owners here that wanted to speak about it tonight. And Mr. Montgomery was one that was here tonight.
Yeah, I think I talked to Mark about this too. I think if you have cross traffic going through there and the street's not clearly demarcated, and you don't have proper designation of the street, I think there would be a liability issue if there was an accident. I think that the city would be negligent for not providing enough demarcation through there, showing it was really a public street and not just part of the parking lot. So I think that my thought of that, maybe have an engineering study done to see what would be needed to make it a safe street coming through there and interchange down there through to 67 too.
Well, I don't have really anything to add other than Robert Montgomery, 2021 Woodhaven. I'm one of the property owners up there, and the city has talked about this for a number of years, and as I recall, ambulances, fire trucks, as long as I can remember, we've been in there since 1974 in some capacity in the shopping center. And it was brought to my attention, I think the city has tried to do this for a number of years, to try to get more of a street, a dedicated street going north to south. I haven't seen it in a number of years, but just from the fire trucks that I can remember going through there, and if I'm not mistaken, is the bank talking of shutting that completely off behind there?
I'm not sure. Some people think that's our street, but that's actually a driveway owned by the bank. Yes.
So I think it would be a problem not to have a egress, some way of getting back through there. I mean, just like you said, you have a state school there, you have some apartments just to the, I guess it'd be the northwest. So that's something I think not just just for the benefit of the property owners, but I think it'd benefit people as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we own any of that street in where the shopping center is?
No, the shopping center's all private property, so we'd have to get right away, and I think I've pretty much been told that that would be donated if we would.
Okay.
Because what's happening is people are coming through there and using it as a street, and then the property owners are having to maintain it.
Right.
At their cost.
That can get pretty potholes through there.
Right. Is the bank talking about donating that property, or?
I haven't talked to the bank. I didn't know they were considering closing that. My opinion, we just run High Street down to hit that, but.
I have spoken to a real estate specialist with the bank out of Springfield, Missouri. Dan Swayzall, I believe is his name. The bank would consider donating their drive if the city would accept it and improve it. They wouldn't make improvements to it, but that's only from south of the parking lot to Northwood. And where you were talking about, it stops when you pass Shady Grove School, there's a stop sign there. That's the end of High Street. It just stops where you go into the parking lot. So there's been conversation about it. I've got a file that goes back into the mid-2000s. I think 2007 was the last thing that I had on it. Actually goes back as far as 1997, the original drawing on it. And I did get dollar figures from Smith & Company to reflect current cost. That's the only thing they did since the 2007 work that was done when Byron Smith was the city planner, assistant city manager. That's all I had on it, unless you had questions. But I do have a file on it, so it's nothing new. It's just it's been a difficult situation to complete.
I understand the north and south, but I'm not real clear on why we need the east-west.
I'm not either.
Up until recently, I had not heard anything about the east-west arrangement. I had heard about the north-south, and I've got documents here that were prepared for all the property owners, and most of them signed off on it at some point in time in the 2005, 2006, 2007 range. But the original thought was to only work on the north-south situation, from Northwood up to Shady Grove School stop sign. But
And that's what the 88,000 is?
that was the 88,000 figure, yes. And that was with controlled access crossing through the parking lot, curbing.
Dennis, I don't know if you remember this or not, but while we've been on the council, I would say in the last year or so, do you remember Sterling Drive?
I do.
The city adopted that. I don't know if you could, how much did that cost for the city to take that on? It wasn't anywhere near this amount.
I believe the owners paid for the improvements, and the work was done by the street department, and then it was accepted as a city street once those improvements were done.
I think the city spent around the property owner spent $15,000, $16,000 on material, and then the street department did the labor.
Yes. Correct.
This $88,000 figure, is that private contractor, or is that us?
That's based upon an engineer's
Contracting
figures,
it out?
So
based
what-
upon the drawings that were done in the 2000s. We didn't have them do new drawings or scale it back or scale it up. That was just based off information that we started with in 2007.
But I was asking if our street department could do part of it. Billy, you want to come?
See if I can help you guys.
I just wanted to know what it cost. I'm just trying to, what did it cost for us to do Sterling Drive?
Is it right around the 12.3, 12.5 exact
So
number?
it cost us 12.3.
No, it didn't cost us anything.
It didn't cost
other
us.
than fuel and labor. But the all materials were paid for by the property owners. But it was a lot less work we did on that street than what we'd have to do to this one. And the figure I gave Mark, that included the east and west and the north and south. And I did not take that figure all the way to Northwood. So I would say you're probably looking in the 25,000 range. If we went just the complete north and south.
And
That's
this is just if we don't decide to do just modifications. Let's see if we.
That's without curb and guttering.
That's without curb and gutter.
This is without curb and guttering?
No, the...
25.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what it would cost without the curb and guttering?
Probably, for us to do it, it'd probably cost somewhere in the neighborhood, I would say 20 to 25,000 to do the north and south. There are some drainage improvements we'd have to do on the bank side through there.
My largest concern is just that, closing that off for
It would be a disaster.
O'Neill School and the state school. And that's my major concern.
This is north-south.
The north-south. The east-west, I'm not concerned
The
either
east-west
way,
seems
but
to be
I'm just trying to
very
figure out a way to keep north and south open.
Well, when you talk about High Street coming down through the parking lot, and it comes in the parking lot,
Yeah.
then it has to jog to, if you're going south, to the right to meet the other street.
Yes.
So you still want to make that jog, and you still want to make the other street, correct? So when you talk east and west, what portion of the street are we talking about then?
Just talking about, right here's the bank driveway.
Mhm.
They were talking this.
I
here.
got you.
And then we'd still have to come down here and then go into here.
Yeah. Well, and the concern of the east and west is that that's a thoroughfare too.
Yes.
And it's not demarked either. adequately, except on the right side. The left side's open to parking lot access on the left.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you know, to think about it, you know, if you have a access going left to hit the parking, you probably want it open to hit every slot you can. So we just, maybe get a traffic engineer to be sure optimum safety is used east to west, and maybe leave it as it is, but I see what you're saying.
In my opinion, it would, I think if we're gonna do the north and south, it would be the best decision to go ahead and take east and west on too. Because if you're having anything coming in, most of it's gonna be coming from the highway and turn right in there to it.
It's going to access that street. A lot of it's going to access it from the highway,
And I
yeah.
think that's through the bank's property right there that it comes actually in on.
But we could possibly do this in phases where we wouldn't have, maybe would we have to take it all at once? Could we take the north and, to me, the north and south is more important
And
at this
that's-
point, because it opens up that.
And the figure I gave you was for all of it, except for the concrete that runs through the bank's parking lot, the concrete drive through there. You know,
Now, most of that road is decent, isn't it? Or most of that paved area?
I would figure that if we're gonna do it, we'd go ahead and take the dip out that's in
Yeah,
there.
the dip,
Put
yes.
drainage in and go ahead and overlay all the way to Northwood.
Okay.
So you're probably gonna be in the neighborhood around the 20 to 25,000 to do the north and south. That is minus engineering, because we'd have to have it surveyed and marked out and all that done.
Most of the traffic comes off 67 and.
Most of it comes off
Then goes-
67.
And then it accesses north and south on those two, yeah.
Then if that gets closed, think about the traffic that'll start coming from Barron Road into that area, even more traffic that'll go through there. And you've got that hospital road, people will start going through there more.
But that 88,000 that was on there, that is the contractor's price if a contractor came in and did it. Curb and gutter and.
Okay.
And when I got that drawing from Smith and Company, I had never even thought about east-west. I'd never heard about anybody wanting to do east-west. All I'd ever heard about over the years was north-south, so.
Sure.
Can you do the curbing?
It would take a while. I mean, it'd all be done by hand. And most contractors would probably come with a machine and have it done in a day or two. Or would probably be 3 weeks to a month or so.
Would it not be feasible to contract out the curbing and then you come in and
We could do that.
lay it seems like that would be more feasible.
Do you have anything to say, Ed, since this messes with your ward too?
But as
I
it
agree
was
with the
mentioned
curbing.
though, I was concerned, I do have some concerns about having it open to the flow of traffic coming into it. That would be the only concern I'd have on it, the parking lot traffic coming into an open street for, roughly 100 foot long.
That'd be my concern with the curb and guttering to, protect the people going down the city street, and like I say, and open this up for liability situation. I think the same thing would happen on the east-west if we just left that open. I mean, that would be better for the shopping center, of course, but then you've got the same thing. If it's going to cause us hardship north and south, it's going to cause the same hardship east and west.
Well, it's like the outer road of a mall, and they'll have a curb and then they have an open gap. And that way, you know where you can turn in and you know where you can't. So on the left side, as you're facing east, you'd want to have something like that, where you don't have a gutter, all the way down, a curb all the way down, but, we can look at different drawings and see what would be the best. We want to make it easy access to the businesses, but yet make it clear that when you enter that street, when you enter that thoroughfare, you better be careful whether we put yields, whatever, how we do it, but do it like the malls do maybe.
How do you two think your constituents would feel if they couldn't get through that street?
They would hate it.
Yeah, they hate it.
I'd have to change my phone number.
But do you know that actually impacts all of us here, because I go down that street. I'm sure you all do, and everyone in this room probably does, so.
Well, I think we want to definitely do something. We want to do the most economical and the most safest. I think that's what our concerns are.
It would impact the schools greatly.
Yeah.
It would, we can't do
Do you
that.
think we ought to get a figure with like I said, with the engineering or contracting the curb and then seeing?
The one side on the east and west portion, there is a curb that runs for roughly probably 1,000 foot against the bank property.
Yes.
So,
That's a done deal on that, yeah.
I mean, we could possibly get by with, some, bumpers down through there, some striping, maybe on that side to put the traffic where it needs to go. Even some concrete, stop blocks or something down through there.
Yeah, we just need to figure, in my opinion, we need to figure something more economical than $200,000 to mess with that street. And considering the work that we did with Sterling Drive, we just took it in and
Well, the north and south, I know the property owners are willing to donate the property. I don't know about who owns the property east and west.
East and west of.
Well, you're talking.
Run east and west along the curb side of the.
I'm not sure.
I think it's listed as Sterling Development.
Yeah, I think it's, because I think that parking lot goes all the way to the curbs.
Of course, we'd also be getting onto the portion of the banks where you come into the entrance there. That have to be taken into.
I promise I don't want to be on every single agenda item tonight, so I apologize. But I'm going to put on my county EMA cap and point out that we have the tornado shelter at O'Neill School. And so, in that circumstance, that the ability to move up and down, right now, I haven't used that road lately, but usually it's pretty potholed. So right now, it's not good, but I think it becomes an important item to consider. People need to be able to rapidly get to O'Neill School when we have a tornado warning, so, for what that's worth.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Aaron McIntosh, 326 Ridgeview. Last year I acquired 50% of Sterling Development, and so the property running east and west, we would donate that property for the city to take that over. So just wanted to make you all aware of that.
Do you know if, so you just want to donate it out? You're not wanting to make any improvements, just like Sterling Drive did?
We just have
Sorry.
It's a great question.
I'm
It's something we just have to look at.
All right.
Yeah, we just have to.
Because we can't close it. There's just no way.
Right. We wouldn't want to close that.
No, yeah, I got you.
Madam Mayor, I work in that area in the Greenwood Square.
Oh.
And I'm there, and I do our errands to the bank, CPA, and all that. And then a lot of those senior citizens back in that housing all have cars. And I know when I do our errands, when I start, it's just like this, dodging the cars that are all over that parking lot. And I would think the north-south would be our first priority.
I agree. Thank you.
I would think that we need to deal with the north and south situation first, and we try to do economically as we can. And I think, if a local engineering firm can give us the answer on optimum of safety, then we can look at how we can run east and west and maybe tackle that. If it's possible to do one and do the other one later, that might be economically the best for us to do.
I have drawings that were based off of several years ago. They had a couple of different options. And it's not engineering details for building a street, but it does give you a good idea of where it would be laid out at. And it's very possible that we could look at something that would satisfy the need for the proper engineering on it, that maybe the street department could be involved with in building, keep the cost down, and get through the north-south section at least. I would need to contact the bank before we went into working on their property. I don't think it's an issue, but they would have to give approval for that. And they might want to release that to the city. That was one of the conversations I had with them back probably last fall.
Mark, would it be out of the question to drop this in your lap for the next 2 weeks and see what maybe come back in 2 weeks with some kind of idea, proposal of how we should move forward?
No, it's fine. I'll get with Dennis and Jeremy, and we'll come back with some different ideas. We just really kind of needed some guidance on what you all wanted to do, so, and if you wanted to proceed with it.
I think we have to proceed with it, but I like Mayor Pro Tem Russian's idea and Ms. Abshir's idea to attack the north and south first and then go from there. So we don't need anything on that one. Okay. Moving on, item D, the City Council will discuss a proposed amendment to the contract between the City of Poplar Bluff and Big River Telephone Company relative to charges for telephone lines for the Municipal Utilities Department.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the council, this agreement will change municipal utilities' current phone system that is provided by analog phone lines known as POTS or plain old telephone service to a new type of service known as PRI or primary rate interface. POTS lines require one physical line for each extension on the phone system. This type of system is antiquated and an inefficient use of resources and is being replaced by the primary system or PRI system. With this type of service, you save money by not using as many physical resources because only external phone calls require physical phone lines. We discussed this today at the advisory board meeting and would recommend the change order for Big River Telephone. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I know this question doesn't even really pertain to this, except we're moving the phone lines at the same time. Do we have an estimated time when we're going to move across the street in the trailer?
I have a estimated time, but I don't, because I don't have a building delivery date.
Okay.
Right now, the building delivery date is the end of August. I'm anticipating, if everything goes right with weather, we should be in 30 days, but if not, it would extend, so.
Okay. So this upgrade wouldn't take place in the building we're in now?
No, this is actually going into the White Oak facility.
Okay.
That way we can put it in, it will actually work, and when we move out of the building we're in, we would have a phone system that all we would have to do then is port our numbers that we have today into the new system. All the phone numbers would stay the same, it just interface differently with us. And one item that was not discussed in here, I went back and looked, this would actually save us approximately $100 a month between what we pay today and what we would pay tomorrow with the price system.
And it does not change our contract date with Big River. We're still in a contract with them through July 2015.
Okay.
Seems like we save money and we upgrade in technology, basically.
Correct.
Madam Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I make a motion we move this to the voting session tonight.
Second.
Motion and second to move item D to the voting session tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, the City Council will review change order number 1 and the closeout on the slurry sealed taxiway project at the Poplar Bluff Municipal Airport.
This was a project through MoDOT, 90% MoDOT, 10% the city. Basically, the project's finished. They just had some extra work come up and approximately $2,559.42. And if you got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Do we know what the extra cost, exactly what was? Is it material or?
This is probably from Smith and Company's here.
Good evening. It's Dominic Thompson with Smith and Company. The additional costs, we actually had a couple deducts and a couple additions. So the additions were some additional concrete pavement, crack and joint sealing, and also some pavement repairs, as well as some deducts for some asphalt crack sealing that we did not have to do, as well as some pavement marking that we did not have to do.
Anyone else?
Make a motion to move this to the voting session to be held tonight.
Second.
Motion and a second to move item E to the voting session tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item F, the City Council will review the submission of a historical preservation certified local government grant fiscal year 2015 relative to nominating the Garfield Historical District to the National Register of Historical Places.
This is a step required for the submission of a grant application relative to the Garfield Historical District. We work with historical preservation, do at least 1 or 2 grants a year through them. And Dennis is here if you have any questions.
This is actually a pre-application. Normally, we don't bring pre-applications to the council. They have new administration at the State Historic Preservation Office, and they did ask that we take it through the council for approval for the pre-application. Consists of 3 addresses on Garfield, and I can answer any questions you might have on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments?
And Mayor, I make a motion to move this to the voting session to be held tonight.
Second.
Motion and a second to move item F to the voting session tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item G, the City Council will discuss change order number 1 to the Poplar Bluff Walking Trail Phase 2 project, number P130023.
This is our walking trail project. We've been working with MoDOT for, gosh, I'm thinking 6 or 7 years this has been going on. If you'll drive along PP Highway, you'll see this trail coming east. It's going underneath the bridge on PP Highway. The original plan was to go from the bridge underneath PP Highway all the way down south along the creek. Actually, we're about where Shelby Road is planned to come out. We ran into a lot of problems with easements. We kind of canceled that part of the project and we're reverting the monies. Now we will be coming underneath the bridge and up along the other side of PP Highway, and we'll come to about where the Dental Arts driveway is, and then eventually we will go from there up to Shelby Road. So this is a change order for that section there. It'll be on highway right-of-way. That grant is paid for, I think it's 66% through MoDOT, and the other percentage is paid by the Park Department. And hopefully, eventually we'll meet up and there'll be a trail along Shelby Road down to 67 South. But that wouldn't be part of this project, it'd be a different project.
Was the original money allotted and then we changed? I mean, was that the first money already allotted? And then, and when we change the path, we're just adding a change order for the necessary.
Yes, yeah.
And Mayor, I would make a motion, we move this item to the voting session to be held next meeting.
Motion and a second to move item G to the voting session to be held at the next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item H, the City Council will review a City Council board member replacement to the Municipal Utilities Advisory Board.
And Mayor, as you know, and I explained to the council last meeting, my obligations at my employer right now is in the mode of training a new employee, and I promised him I would be there as much as I could through his 6-month training process. And it's a hardship to make this meeting. It's at 3 o'clock, and so every other Monday I would be taking 4 hours out of the young man's training time. And I have withdrawn from that board and to let you appoint a new member.
Okay. I appreciate you being on that board. You have a lot of knowledge when it comes to utilities, and that's why I wanted you on the board. I know that Councilman Tinsley has expressed significant interest in being on that board, so I'd like to appoint him, give him a chance to serve on that.
And Mayor, I'd make a motion we move this item to the voting session to be held tonight.
Second.
Motion is second to move item H to the voting session tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to action required items. Bill number 7708, the City Council will take action on an ordinance creating a new section of the Code of Ordinances requiring prepayment or pre-approval of the purchase of fuel.
Move for first reading of bill number 7708.
Second.
Motion and a second for first reading of bill number 7708. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance adding an ordinance for the city of Poplar Bluff, Missouri entitled gasoline prepayment or pre-approval.
Move for the second reading, bill number 7708.
Second.
Motion and a second for second reading of bill number 7708. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance adding in an ordinance for the city of Poplar Bluff, Missouri entitled gasoline prepayment or pre-approval.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Motion and a second for adoption of bill number 7708. Do we have any comments or questions on this issue?
I have a comment.
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead
After
first.
you, sir.
Okay. The only thing is, I've had a couple of residents contact me, and they're basically from the consumer side, and, you know, they have concerns about a city ordinance affecting economic operations of businesses. In my position on this ordinance was there was a great consensus of almost all of the retailers who sell gas in the city limits of Poplar Bluff. Over the 2 weeks, they've had an opportunity if they wanted to, if any of the retailers wanted to come and speak against the ordinance. That's the only way I would vote against it, if there was a single retailer that did not want to do it, because I didn't want to put an encumbrance on somebody running a business. But for the citizens, as a point of governance, by passing this ordinance with no opposition from businesses that sell gasoline, we're going to reduce theft, which is going to make costs less for the consumers overall from these establishments. We're also going to significantly reduce the amount of calls to the police department on such events like this. So as a point of governance, it's an appropriate thing to do.
My comments almost mirror Mayor Pro Tem Russian. I actually went to my, and I have received several constituents that have concerns that do like myself, and I stated it right up front. I don't like this. I like to pay cash for everything, move forward, but I have to support the businesses. I actually went to several of the stations in town, talked to some of the owners personally the last 2 weeks. Have yet to find a business person that said they didn't need this. A $50 drive-off, you have to sell 1,000, under the price last week, 1,003 gallons to pay for a $50 drive-off, which that's an amazing amount of gas to show you how much the turnover for one drive-off. And as Mr. Russian stated, you know, it's not something you like, and it's not something that's even popular with me, but it's the right decision for the business of the Poplar Bluff, and that's why I'm going to support it.
I also received a phone call from business owner pleading, please, because they had $100 worth of drive-offs right there that day. Just got fed up and called me and said, please pass this. We need this. And I hate that this has come to us. I hate prepaid too, but I do use my debit card for things, so.
I had a man come visit me this afternoon and probably spent 20 minutes with him, and he thought the solution was have the gas stations put up signs saying if you steal gas you're going to spend 90 days in jail. And I know some of the stations actually have signs up about stealing gas. But from what I gathered the last meeting, a lot of the problem too is they don't know the license number and they can't even catch that person. So
That's true, and Chief Danny Whiteley, he brought up a really good point about how much it actually costs for them to track these people down, and the amount of time they spend. They can't keep up with it all. So.
And then in most situations, they'll say, "I forgot to pay."
It's a significant cost
and then
to the city.
And then as one of the proponents of the ordinance said, then they'll come right in and pay cash. They have the money in their pocket when they drive off. So it'd be hard to even prosecute it. This is a very preemptive ordinance that I think, as long as it doesn't encumber a business, a gas selling business, I think it's a good thing to do.
I like the fact that we added the pre-approval, because there's still a lot of citizens in town that don't have a checking account or debit card or credit card. But they frequent these same businesses all the time, and the clerk can see them and approve it. They know who they are, and they're going to come in and visit for a while and conduct business as usual.
Sure.
Any further comments or questions? I have a motion and a second for adoption. Can we get a roll call?
Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir.
Yes.
Councilman Branham.
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian.
Yes.
And Mayor Pearson.
Yes.
We have 7 yes votes.
Bill number 7709, the City Council will take action on an ordinance rezoning property from RS1 Rural Residential to RA2 Apartment Residential to construct multifamily apartments on Warrior Lane.
Move for first reading of 7709.
Second.
First and a second for first reading of Bill number 7709. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance rezoning property from RS1 Rural Residential to RA2 Apartment Residential to construct 48 multifamily apartments on Warrior Lane.
Move for second reading of bill number 7709.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second for second reading of Bill number 7709. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance rezoning property from RS1 Rural Residential to RA2 Apartment Residential to construct 48 multifamily apartments on Warrior Lane.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion and a second for adoption of Bill number 7709. Any comments or questions? Roll call?
Councilwoman Abshir.
Yes.
Councilman Branham.
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian.
Yes.
And Mayor Pearson.
Yes.
We have 7 yes votes.
Bill number 7710, the City Council will take action on an ordinance amending the contract between the City of Poplar Bluff and Big River Telephone Company relative to charges for telephone lines.
Move for first reading of bill number 7710.
Second.
Motion and a second for first reading of Bill number 7710. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Poplar Bluff to execute an amendment to the agreement with Big River Telephone Company, LLC, for the city's telecommunication services.
Move for second reading of bill 7710.
Second.
Motion and a second for second reading of Bill number 7710. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Poplar Bluff to execute an amendment to the agreement with Big River Telephone Company, LLC, for the city's telecommunication services.
Move to adopt.
Second.
7710.
Okay. Motion and a second for adoption of Bill number 7710. Do we have any comments or questions? Roll call?
Councilman Branham.
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian.
Yes.
And Mayor Pearson.
Yes.
We have 7 yes votes.
Bill number 7711, the City Council will take action on an ordinance approving the change order number 1 for airport slurry seal and taxiway improvement project.
Move for first reading of 7711.
Second.
First and second for first reading of 7711. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance approving change order number 1 for the airport slurry seal and taxiway improvement project.
Move for second reading of bill 7711.
Second.
Motion and second for second reading of Bill number 7711. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance approving change order number 1 for the airport slurry seal and taxiway improvement project.
Move for adoption of bill number 7711.
Second.
Motion and second for adoption of Bill number 7711. Any comments or questions? Roll call?
Councilman Tinsley.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir?
Yes.
Councilman Branham?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian?
Yes.
And Mayor Pearson.
Yes.
We have 6 yes votes.
Resolution number 1801, the City Council will take action on a resolution in support of the proposal brought forth by Family Counseling Center Incorporated to be known as South Point Apartments.
Move for reading of resolution 1801.
Second.
Motion and a second for reading of 1801. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
Resolution of support for South Point Apartments, a proposed development for low to moderate income families.
Move for adoption of resolution number 1801.
Second.
Motion and a second for adoption of Resolution 1801. Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir?
Yes.
Councilman Branham?
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian?
Yes.
Mayor Pearson.
Yes.
We have 7 yes votes.
Resolution number 1802, the City Council will take action on a resolution making an appointment to the Plumbing Board.
Move for reading of resolution 1802.
Second.
Motion and a second for reading of Resolution number 1802. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
A resolution making an appointment to the Plumbing Board of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Move for adoption of resolution number 1802.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second for adoption of Resolution 1802. Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Councilman DeGaris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir?
Yes.
Councilman Branham?
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian?
Yes.
Mayor Pearson.
Yes.
We have 7 yes votes.
Resolution number 1803, the City Council will take action on a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a historical preservation certified local government grant application relative to the Garfield Historical District.
Move for first reading of 1803.
Second.
Motion and a second for reading of Resolution number 1803. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
A resolution authorizing the mayor of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri to execute and submit an application for a historical preservation certified local government grant for the Garfield Historical District.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Motion and a second for adoption of Resolution number 1803. Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Councilwoman Abshir?
Yes.
Councilman Branham?
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian?
Yes.
Mayor Pearson.
Yes.
We have 7 yes votes.
Resolution number 1804, the City Council will take action on a resolution appointing a city council or a council member to the Municipal Utilities Advisory Board.
Motion for first reading 1804.
Second.
Motion and a second for reading of Resolution 1804. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
A resolution making appointments to the Municipal Utilities Advisory Board of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Move for adoption of resolution number 1804.
Second.
Motion and a second for adoption of Resolution 1804. Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Councilman Branham?
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian?
Yes.
And Mayor Pearson.
Yes.
We have 7 yes votes.
Okay. City Council of the City of Poplar Bluff will meet in a closed meeting in which they will discuss such matters which are exempted under the Open Meetings Law, Section 610.021.1 RSMO litigation, 610.021.2 RSMO real estate, and 610.021.3 RSMO personnel.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion we move into closed session after the city manager's report.
Second.
Motion and a second to move into closed session after the city manager's report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Well, if you drive out Oak Grove Road and past, actually, you're not supposed to go on that portion of Oak Grove Road, but past Oak Grove School, you'll see where they filled the huge hole in, and it's leveled out, it looks completely different. On the east end, they started taking out those beautiful pine trees today, so I think they're all cut down, and they've started working on that end of the road. I drove through Shelby Road on the way to the council meeting tonight, and they've started pouring concrete on the TRC entrance, so all three of those are making good progress right now. Saturday, the fire department sponsored a 5K run for the NDA. I'm not sure how much money they raised, but you know, it's the same group that you'll see at the intersections passing the boot around raising money. Jeremy Downing, one of the firefighters, organized all that this year. They did a great job. We had a firefighter from Cape Girardeau, one from Donovan, and two from our fire department that ran those 3.1 miles in their turnout gear with their air tanks on and their helmets. And I don't know how they do that, but they did it. Quite impressive. But those guys did a good job. And like I said, I'm not sure how much money they raised, but there were quite a few runners. So that's about all I have.
Thank you.
No, nothing else. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.